Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I move my address in support of the 2016 budget, I'd also like to congratulate our Fijian team for making it to Rio this year. A big congratulations to the Fijian team. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to state that we have completed over a year in this August House, but it is still sad to note members resorting to personalizing issues and making personal attacks, and especially the address by the Honourable Shadow Minister, which was indeed very entertaining. And I'm sure the members did not miss the morning tea as the address was being given. All in all, Madam Speaker, we are honourable members, and at all times we talk about working with constructive ideas and criticisms to take the country forward. And I'm sure come this year, we all will be doing that. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of the 2016 budget, and at the outset acknowledge and thank the Honourable Attorney General and Minister for Finance for producing such an imaginative blueprint to take Fiji forward next year. I'm especially pleased at the way this government has strengthened its commitment to those Fijians for whom I have a responsibility in my own portfolio, namely women, children and the disadvantaged. Madam Speaker, in every area of the budget, we have rightly made it our priority to provide assistance to those most vulnerable individuals in our society. And I'm proud to be part of a government that genuinely cares, whether it is through our targeted programs or the overall reduction in the cost of living we will have achieved by cutting the VAT component. The 2016 budget reinforces the Fiji First government's underlying mission, which is to promote a sustainable and a prosperous future for every Fijian, a tolerant, progressive and inclusive society that values its people, unites them and encourages every citizen to join hands to build a strong, a healthy and a fair Fiji. Madam Speaker, my ministry aims to empower women, children and the disadvantaged through a comprehensive and holistic program of social welfare initiatives and broader programs to promote gender equality. While the priority of the social protection agenda is to graduate people from dependency into productive livelihoods, the gender program emphasizes the creation of an enabling environment for gender equality. This is achieved through policy interventions, programs and activities to achieve gender equality across the whole of government and more broadly into our communities and families. Madam Speaker, the 2016 budget provides 52.2 million to the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, which is an increase of 6.4 million from this year. So we are now able to expand our existing programs and generate new initiatives. This increase will greatly facilitate assistance targeted towards those Fijians who are most in need, including women, children, people living with disabilities, the elderly and the poor. My ministry, Madam Speaker, applauds the significant reduction in VAT in the 2016 budget, which is a major benefit for the Fijian people and one that is being greeted with overwhelming public approval. This reduction will increase the purchasing power of the dollar by reducing the overall cost of living. And I am especially pleased about the benefits that will flow to low-income families. Madam Speaker, we've reduced VAT from 15% to 9%. So everything that Fijians are paying VAT on at the moment will fall by 6% from 1st January 2016. These include the staples of any household budget, everything from salt, onions, potatoes, butter, liquid milk, garlic, toilet paper, mosquito coils, pots and pans, clothes, cabin crackers to everyday purchases such as bus fares and fuel, and also larger items such as household appliances, school uniforms and furniture. These and everything else will cost 6% less. As the Minister for Finance has explained, the current VAT exemptions on rice, cooking oil, tin fish, flour, tea, powdered milk, kerosene and prescription drugs will be lifted. But while these items will have VAT of 9% imposed on them, I want to make something very clear as the Minister for Poverty Alleviation. There is no increase in the overall cost of living. In fact, it falls because everything else one is going to buy will be 6% cheaper. In fact, overall prices will fall at least 4.5%. In other words, Fijian families will be at least 4.5% better off. And indeed, this is a great achievement. But there are even more savings, Madam Speaker, because we have reduced the duty on items such as deodorants, baby clothes, baby diapers, baby products, children's clothing, undergarments for men and women, women's sanitary pads, adult diapers, bicycles, minibuses, tires, and condiments, to name a few. The reduction of duty on these items has already come into effect. So overall, the cost of living has reduced even further. And of course, Fijians will continue not to pay VAT on those items that we buy fresh from the market or by the side of the road. Overall, Madam Speaker, Fijian families are much better off, especially low-income earners, because with these changes, we continue to safeguard the interests of the poor and low-income earners with such things as our food voucher programs, free prescribed medicine for people with income less than $20,000 a year. In fact, we now offer 142 medicines for free rather than the current 72 for households earning less than $30,000 a year. We will now also pay a pension of $50 a month to those Fijians who will be 66 years from next year, July. Madam Speaker, so this is a budget that significantly benefits those Fijians who it is my job to represent. Our tax systems have reformed to make it fairer and more simple. Those reforms are in the interest of ordinary Fijians. And to make sure that Fijian people see the benefits, I am pleased to note that the government intends to enforce a strict policing regime. It will be keeping a careful eye on shopkeepers who ensure that these savings are passed on. We will not tolerate merchants who attempt to keep these savings for themselves, because that is stealing. And I'm sure every member of the House will agree that any merchant who does this deserves to be punished. We have established a hotline for consumers through the Consumer Council of Fiji for people to call and file complaints against shopkeepers and merchants who do not lower their prices to reflect these changes. These complaints will be investigated and reported directly to FIRCA. Madam Speaker, as I've indicated, the reduction of VAT complements the Ministry's food voucher program. In addition, the expansion of the free medicine initiative, subsidized electricity, water and bus fare subsidies will further assist low-income families. So all in all, Madam Speaker, this is a budget that is warmly welcomed by those Fijians who I have responsibility for in my portfolio. And speaking personally, Madam Speaker, I am very much proud, extremely proud, to be part of our caring government, one that is standing up for women, children, the disadvantaged, and giving them both tangible benefits and hope. Madam Speaker, in relation to our programs for women, I especially welcome the reduction of VAT and exemption of duty on items such as sewing machines, fabric, thread, buttons, and zippers. This, of course, will greatly benefit women who run their own tailoring businesses. The Ministry's sewing project has many success stories. The VAT reduction will support the expansion of this project, as sewing machines will be cheaper to buy. Women who earn an income from sewing will now earn more and more from their businesses, and this is bound to boost their business confidence, morale, and financial independence. In a similar manner, Madam Speaker, the removal of duty on personal items, such as sanitary pads, tampons, and diapers, and the reduction of duty on baby garments, undergarments, and deodorants are all very welcome advances for the women and families. And the family budget is going to become a lot more easier to manage, especially for those families with limited resources. In 2015, Madam Speaker, the Fijian government allocated $228.6 million for programs to alleviate poverty. The total allocation for poverty-related programs in 2016 is $254.1 million, an increase of $25.5 million. So, Madam Speaker, no one can doubt the government's continuing commitment to improve the lives of those who are most in need of. With our poverty alleviation programs, we are building a more inclusive and equitable society, and we are assisting more Fijians than ever before. Madam Speaker, we know there is still a lot more to do. And as our economy continues to grow, we intend to allocate as much as we can to step up our fight against poverty. The 2008 and 9 Household Income and Expenditure Survey, probably the most recent indicator, shows that the national incidence of poverty was at 31%. We are determined to continue our efforts as government to gradually but resolutely lower this figure. It is a national priority, and in 2016, my ministry will continue with our key social protection initiatives, providing direct income support and promoting capacity building, as well as enhancing participation in our various income-generating initiatives, all with a view to improving the situation as soon as possible for as many Fijians as possible. In 2016, Madam Speaker, the Poverty Monitoring Unit has had an allocation of $731,400 to effectively monitor poverty alleviation program across the whole of government. As much as we need action we also need more precise information about where to direct our priorities so that as many disadvantaged families and communities can be assisted in the shortest possible time. Madam Speaker, the Department of Social Welfare, through its Social Protection Program, continues to have the largest allocation. The social protection programs for the ministry includes the Poverty Benefit Scheme, the Social Pension Scheme, Care and Protection Allowance, Expanded Food Voucher Program, Fire Victims Allowance, Bus Fare Subsidy Implementation Funds, the Fiji National Council for Disabled Persons, the National Council for Older Persons, grants to the Girls' Home, Welfare Graduation Program, capital grants to voluntary organizations, Child Protection Program, Marriage Counseling Program, and the Community Work Program. Of the total increase in the department's allocation in 2016, the largest increase of 5 million is for the Social Pension Scheme. Madam Speaker, this will accommodate the expected increase of applicants due to our lowering of the eligibility age from 68 to 66 from July next year. This assistance is for elderly persons who aren't beneficiaries of any superannuation or pension program. Currently, there are more than 14,000 recipients under this SPS program. It is estimated that with the lowering of the eligibility age, an additional 5,000 new recipients will benefit from this very important program. Madam Speaker, the increase in the Care and Protection Allowance of 1.2 million will improve the administration of the Care and Protection Program for poor, single-parent households. It will cater for the increase in allowance for those children residing in our residential homes from $100 to $120 per month. Obviously, these disadvantaged children will be accorded a higher level of care and better living support as we continue to improve their current circumstances and provide them with a better future. Madam Speaker, in the budget we have allocated $22 million for the Poverty Benefit Scheme program, which is a major social protection program. The Ministry is committed to an ongoing review of this program to ensure that it is targeted more effectively at those households who are in most need of this assistance. The Welfare Graduation Program is also an important part of our overall poverty alleviation effort. We are encouraging welfare beneficiaries to become more self-reliant and less dependent on state assistance. The Fire Victim Assistance Program, Madam Speaker, has been allocated an additional 50,000 from the current 100,000 to meet the immediate needs of fire victims. We have seen an increase of 100,000 in the NGO grants, which will enhance our ability to effectively meet the overall demand of services for the disadvantaged. It acknowledges the ever-increasing need for government to form partnerships with civil society organizations to make our responses more effective. Madam Speaker, the Child Services budget of 500,000 will enable the department, in partnership with stakeholders and international organizations such as UNICEF, to make many inroads to expand the scope of its child protection awareness programs. This will also ensure continuing funding for the National Child Helpline and enable this valuable service to expand to its operation around the clock come next year. Apart from its social protection program, the Child Welfare Program Department is again given a budget of 200,000 to implement. It's given a budget of 200,000 to implement the National Aging Policy. This will include assistance for the improvement of level of care at the 8 institutions that look after our elderly persons. In addition to the department's current program, we are adding 3 state senior citizens' homes to the Ministry's responsibility in 2016. This management transfer will ensure an improvement in the standard of care offered to those living in these state senior homes. Madam Speaker, an extra 100,000 is also being provided to the National Council for Disabled Persons. This will enable the expansion of our support towards the existing NGOs that operate under the Council. Madam Speaker, moving on, the National Women's Machinery is responsible for providing gender mainstreaming, technical and advisory support to the public service through the implementation of the National Gender Policy and the National Women's Plan of Action. The Department of Women programs have been allocated 1.8 million for 2016, an increase in 210,000. This will allow for the first time in the nation's history a national 24-hour toll-free domestic violence helpline. This is vitally important. This is a very vitally important initiative that will provide a helping hand to any Fijian suffering from domestic violence. Madam Speaker, this underlines the government's continuing commitment to support the victims of family violence and send a message of zero tolerance to every Fijian. Madam Speaker, the increased budget to the Fiji Women's Federation will enable an expansion of its role to monitor the outcomes of the National Women's Expo and actively engage potential markets. We have already started the preliminary work around this through a partnership with the Ciputra Institute of Entrepreneurship in Jakarta, Indonesia. Madam Speaker, the National Women's Expo has once again received its special allocation of 500,000 in 2016 as government continues to recognize the positive impact the Expo is having for women artisans and their families. I'm proud that the lessons learned from the first National Women's Expo in 2014 allowed us to more effectively utilize this year's allocation of 500,000. From the 8 divisional craft shows organized to prepare for the National Expo, women artisans were able to take home just over 100,000 from the 8 divisional craft shows. Divisional craft show winners were chosen to come to the 3-day National Expo in October this year. Out of this, these 570 artisans earned $352,000 during the 3-day event. The government's overall investment in the Women's Expo has empowered women's capacities through exposure to skill, knowledge, and networking experiences. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I wish to reiterate that the return on the government's invested cannot be measured in monetary terms alone. As a result of the Expo this year, 43 women artisans have now qualified to use the Fiji Crafted label of the Fijian-made brand certified by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism. The Expo has also allowed us to identify 7 women artisans who traveled to Indonesia immediately after the Expo to attend the Ciputra Entrepreneurship Center. Indeed, a big achievement. Madam Speaker, we also welcome the provision for additional staffing for both departments and to more effectively and efficiently implement the ministry's program. In addition, we are greatly appreciative of the 100,000 allocation made for the Executive Support Unit. In terms of the delivery of services, Madam Speaker, my ministry covers all sections of the community. And in closing, I want to express my thanks to the partnership that we have forged with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism, the Ministry for Health and Medical Services, and the Fiji Arts Council. We are also grateful to the governments of Australia, China, India, Indonesia, and Japan. We are also grateful to the intergovernmental agencies such as UNICEF, UNDP, UNFPA, UN Women, Secretariat of the Pacific Community, SPC, RRT, and all women's NGO organizations, faith-based organizations, and our major private sector partners and corporate sponsors such as Westpac, Courts, and MHs. With these remarks, Madam Speaker, I commend the 2016 budget to the House. It is a people's budget, a budget with the welfare of every Fijian in mind, and especially our women, children, and those on low incomes and the disadvantaged. Thank you, Madam Speaker.